That's all we've asked for. That's all we wanted all season long, is to make sure that the games are competitive, keep yourself in it, and get a masterful performance from Tyrese Maxey and give themselves a chance when Joel Embiid, Paul George are not available. And that's exactly what happens as the Sixers kind of handily take down the Los Angeles Lakers 118-104 on this Tuesday night, the front end of a back-to-back for Philadelphia. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. A lot to get into with this one. We had a strong and wrong moment of the night. We got the player of the game. No surprise there. We'll check in with Derek and Kyle from the arena, and we have a special guest for the second time on the postgame show with Rich and I. That is Marc Stein from the DLLS team out there, DLS Mavericks, DLS team overall, and of course, all the great work that Marc Stein just does in general, covering the National Basketball Association. Rich Hoffman, Devon Givens, Bree here, all of you in the chat, great to be with you. And the Sixers have now won 3 games in a row, and this one looked pretty good. We asked them to get off to a decent start to kick off this 6-game homestand. Again, a back-to-back with the Kings in town tomorrow. But you can only do what you need to do for whatever is in front of you, and that's exactly what they did. This game was tied 23-23 after the first quarter, and Rich, when things got underway, the Sixers were trailing 12-5. All 6 of the Lakers' field goals for their 12 came inside the paint. We know no Andre Drummond, no Joel Embiid. We understood that Yabusele was going to be the starting 5 for the Sixers. Adam Bonus getting some time off the bench. Adam Bonus, of course, getting some time off the bench. Pete Nance got some run. But it looked so easy for the Lakers early on that we were a little discouraged of how things were going to play out this evening. But they erupted for 48 points in the second quarter to the 32 of the Los Angeles Lakers in the second, and they never looked back, man. Never looked back.
That's like the type of stuff they used to do when J.J. Redick and Jimmy Butler were on the team.
Yes.
Were on the team. 48 points.
48 points.
Look, I think everybody watching could see that Lakers team did not have a lot of juice tonight.
Nope.
And they lost Anthony Davis. But hey, the Sixers have lost guys the entire year, right? And so they took advantage. They played really well. I thought their energy was awesome tonight. And the story of the past few weeks, Devon, is that Tyrese Maxey has been the best guy on the floor a lot of nights.
Yes.
In his past 5 games, he has averaged 33.6 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds on 53% shooting from the field and 39% shooting from deep. I just thought he was, with LeBron James on the floor tonight, he was the best guy. And it really wasn't that close.
Wasn't.
I just thought he made every decision was great. I mean, there was a couple drives in there, but just really controlled the game from start to finish. Tyrese Maxey and Gershon Yabusele. Sixers scored 25 points in the first quarter. They had all of them, Devon. 15 for Maxey, 10 for Yabusele. And then everybody else caught up, and the defense was very good the rest of the game. It was a great performance. You know, I think we picked against them in the pregame, but we thought, hey, this type of game could be possible, right? You could get kind of a sleepy LeBron performance, and the Sixers really took advantage. It was great. I had a lot of fun watching that one. Now you got Sacramento tomorrow night. We'll see. Maybe they can get back on track a little more. Bree, do you have my 3 things?
Let's get to the 3 takeaways, Rich's takeaways, and start things off.
And it's basically what I said. Thank you, Bree. Tyrese Maxey, best player on the floor, like really was, and that's been the case in a lot of these games recently. Awesome to see. And you know, after the game, Devon, he talked to Jared Greenberg on TNT about like, what can you really take from this game? And he's like, what are you trying to do with these performances? And Tyrese said, I'm just trying to give people hope. You know, I'm trying to keep the ship afloat and just give people hope that when we get our guys back, we can make a run down the stretch. I think he has done an awesome job of that. And then you look up and down the lineup, man, like it was a balanced scoring performance. I think you had 5 other guys in double figures. I'm looking at it right now. Yabu, Eric Gordon, Kelly Oubre, Ricky Council.
Go get him, Rick.
So that's 4 other guys in double figures. But a lot of good contributions up and down the lineup. Justin Edwards played some good defense. And that was the third thing that I took away from tonight's game, Devon. This was the first time all year, and this is probably a little bit of an indictment on the AD-less Lakers, is that the Sixers were just faster to the ball all night. Yeah. That doesn't happen all that much. Now, some of that is, okay, you play Rick, and Rick has a really good game. All right, well, that's an athletic dude. You play Adam Bona, that is also a very athletic dude. But man, like when Kyle Lowry is almost getting put back tip-ins and they're stealing every single pass, I mean, Sixers win the possession battle by a lot. It was, it was great.
No, that was a really, really good performance by the team overall. Really balanced, really balanced in the sense that what you needed after Tyrese Maxey and his 43, you got it. As you pointed out, the other guys with 20 from Kelly Oubre, the other 3 players from Eric Gordon, Gershon Yabusele, and Ricky Council dropping double figures as well. That's what you needed to see. You needed them to just do other things with the other players, from Edwards to Lowry, Jackson, and Bona, giving you good minutes. Pete Nance just simply had to hold things down just enough.
He kind of, yeah.
Right, just
LeBron
enough.
Attacked him a couple times.
Well, and as he should, right? And he should be scored on. No matter what the height is, he should be scored on. But again, the story was just a nice total team effort in this one. Being down 12-5, as we talked about, we looked at that one and saying, things might be bad. And pardon me, I said 23-23 after one, and Rich is right, it's 25-25, my mistake.
You were close.
And they go on that 48 points in that second quarter. And when you look at what Tyrese Maxey did there, he was 3 for 4 at 8 minutes and 53 seconds. And he scored 12 points, got to the free throw line 5 times. And that's one thing that stands out to me in this one, where he got to the foul line tonight 9 times, making all 9. And they were the more aggressive team. We mentioned that the Lakers were playing on the second night of a back-to-back. Maybe you can catch them sleeping a little bit and take advantage of it. They got a little help, too, because Anthony Davis did exit the game and never came back after his 9 minutes of play, just under 10 minutes of play. And the Sixers were the more aggressive team. They were attacking the rim once he left. Jackson Hayes, as we talked about, for people who have followed me in my former spot on the radio, you know I cannot stand Jackson Hayes because I just don't think he's a good basketball player, and he puts himself in a lot of ridiculous positions.
Not a great guy off the court.
And he's not a great guy off the court also. And when you have that guy who is as wild and crazy out there like a maniac out there on the floor,
doesn't have control of his limbs.
No, you can take advantage of that. And I thought they did a really good job of attacking the rim when Anthony Davis left, attacking that paint, and getting him in foul trouble. You also had, who else? Dorian Finney-Smith came in and had to play the 5 a little bit. He got in foul trouble as well. And they were just in trouble at that point, losing Anthony Davis and the catalyst, as we know, trying to keep them in it in the first quarter. Maxey with his 15, Yabusele with this 10. Those were only 2 scores in the first quarter, people. But they got the help that they needed in that second to hang that 48 on the Lakers, take that 16-point lead there into halftime, and never looking back. But when we're talking about Maxey and the 33 points over the last 5, as you talked about, 7 assists.
7 assists, that's great.
Shooting the ball well. And over the last 11 games, he has scored 28 plus in each of the last 11 games for the Philadelphia 76ers.
But it just feels like these last couple weeks, it's so much more under control.
Yes,
it's so much more in the flow of the offense. It feels like he is kind of taking control of the game. And you know what? I got to say, to make that point, there were plays in the second quarter where the Sixers were getting buckets that are not going to show up in the stat sheet for Tyrese Maxey. Mm-hmm. He's getting doubled 35 feet from the hoop. And he's making the right pass, and the ball's ending up in Eric Gordon's hands for a drive to the basket. It's ending up in Ricky Council's hands for 3. Rick was hugging that 3-point line tonight, man. They taught him how to shoot in Delaware. They taught him that you still get the same amount of points when you're an inch behind the line than 5 feet. It's the same thing.
That's why there's a starting point.
Yeah,
exactly.
So Maxey, and he made the right play all night. And he was getting doubled 35 feet from the hoop, 40 feet from the hoop. He was making a nice pass. I think we also have to mention tonight, man, JJ and LeBron, they sacrificed Bronny tonight. That was rough. Tyrese was cooking him.
When he got in there in the first quarter for, what did you say it was? His first rotational minutes of the season, real rotational minutes of the season. And I looked at you, and once we saw that first dribble from Tyrese Maxey with Bronny James on him. It said, he's in trouble. It's unfair. It's unfair. He cannot stay in front of that guy. He is too fast for all NBA defenders at that position. He's too fast for lengthier all NBA defenders with more height that can keep up with him a little bit with the foot speed. Bronny James, that was unfair.
He's just
unfair.
He's not big enough, man.
And it was on national TV. And that's why you're going to have a lot of discourse talking about him tonight into tomorrow until the Lakers play again, because that was unfair of them to throw him out there on the floor. That was bad.
Even on the possessions where he moved his feet and he stayed in front of him, he's not big enough to
body him.
To bother Tyrese's shot. And obviously, Tyrese not the biggest guy. If you throw some length that can move their feet on him, he might struggle.
But he's got an NBA body. Despite him putting on that muscle in the summer, he already had an NBA body in year 4. This is year 5 of an all-star point guard in this league with that speed, and has to finish amongst bigger guys at the rim. So what is he going to do against a guy like that that's not ready for that moment? He took advantage of him there.
So that was part of it. And it wasn't just Bronny.
It wasn't his fault.
Bronny, rough effort. But the Lakers have a lot of really bad wing defenders, Devon.
Yeah.
I'll name 2 other ones that Tyrese Maxey gave work to tonight. Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect. They had no chance with him either. They kept throwing those... there were a couple nice plays. There was a blind pig play where, he was getting denied, I believe, by Reeves. Nice back cut, got to the basket. He was just beating Reeves on straight line drives, one-on-one. It was really good. It was one of my favorite plays he made all night, Devon, too. They ran the double drag for him. He rejects the screen, goes to his left, gets all the way to the rim, but the help comes over and he finds Eric Gordon wide open for a 3. I thought he was just under control all night. And it started early on when he's getting easy transition buckets against the Lakers' bad defense, but it was one of those nights where he gets that good start, sees the ball go in the basket, and he was terrific the entire game.
No, he really was, man. You talked about the hockey assists, the plays that he did make where it was a direct assist. Although the assist numbers weren't high, I think it was 4 tonight. It might have finished at 4. But look, they needed his poise. Yeah, he had a lot of poise tonight, and with the lack of assists overall, when he didn't commit a turnover until the 4th quarter, when that one play when he finally checked back in, when we were almost pulling our hair out tonight saying, Nick Nurse, you've coached a great game. What are you doing? Get him back into the game before this thing keeps shrinking the way that it was. But he played tonight 35 minutes and 57 seconds. He only had 1 turnover, and there's that 1 turnover that he forced it. And Cam Reddish, who's a decent defender in today's game, lengthy, got his arms out there, anticipated, got the steal. They went the other way, all of that.
He wasn't back in the game yet, too. Like, he had just checked back in, and he had sat for such a long, unusual amount of time that he wasn't really in the game at that point. Throws a lazy pass, and it gets stolen. And, man, you're right. Like, Nick Nurse, who has the reputation as like Tibbs Jr., like some of those minutes in Toronto, man, he would play like Fred VanVleet, man. He would just run him into the ground in a lot of those games. Nick Nurse was gambling tonight. He was like, I got a short rotation both nights. Nick Nurse was in the weird position tonight, everyone, where he could say, all right, we got this rough lineup on the floor, but we're up 20 right now. Can I just hold Tyrese off for a little bit longer? Yeah. He had to eventually get him back in the game. But Nick Nurse was probably like, man, I was not expecting this, where, I could try and find a way to load manage my stars. I mean, last year in December and November, early January, he was doing that twice a week with the way Joel and Tyrese were playing.
Yep.
Nice job. Again, like Nick Nurse, he's got him playing hard too. It's been a good couple weeks for him as well, I would say. Like, I think the defensive effort that he's getting from guys like Justin Edwards and Adam Bona. Again, those guys are young, hungry players, so credit goes to them too. But they're all bought in. So I was impressed with that tonight, Devon. I mean, I should look at the turnover numbers at the end of the game. The Sixers, so the Lakers turned the ball over 22 times tonight, and the Sixers turned the ball over 9 times tonight. 9. Turnovers are not everything. Obviously, some of the great players have turnovers because they're trying to set up awesome shots, great shots. When you win 22-9, you're putting yourself in pretty darn good position to win the game.
Yep, putting ourselves in a pretty darn good position tonight after a win, 118-104. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the supporting cast and Nick Nurse as well. We'll check in with our friend Marc Stein joining us also on the other side. Sixers win their third in a row. Kings in town tomorrow. We'll get to them a little bit later. And tomorrow, we're discussing the Sixers and Lakers right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365.
And Devon, let's talk about our friends at Ace Hardware Home Services. Do you have a leaky pipe? At Ace Hardware Home Services, they are around the block with everything that you need to fix it, including the person to do the fixing. And it's not just a leaky pipe. If you got an air conditioning issue, they have a person for that. Got a faucet that you had said you would fix last year. They have a person for that too, because now Ace is not just the helpful hardware folks. They are also the helpful hardware home service and repair folks. From plumbing and heating to cooling, they have the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. They are bringing helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store now to your front door. And Ace, Devon, they have experience. They are plumbers and techs that handle everything from repairs and seasonal maintenance to installations and upgrades. They bring years of understanding, and most importantly, they listen to your goals, and the job is not completed until you, the customer, is satisfied. Ace is helpful to your home, so you can spend more of the time on the projects that really matter to you. So go ahead and visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get you started on your next project.
I have to tell you about our good buddies, our good team, good friends from Glatt Hair Restoration. And if you check out Johnny Marks for many years, he's been talking about Glatt for a long time. And they've now teamed up with Dr. Morgenstern, and Johnny's been talking about it now here on the PHLY network. And they followed Johnny here. So it's great to have them aboard. And if you are looking to, fix some things there on top and you want to make sure you're all good, this is the place for you. It's the same peerless approach as they've teamed up, same care, same expert team, same unmatched Glatt system, and the same state-of-the-art location, same stellar results, and under the direction of Dr. Morgenstern, a highly respected plastic surgeon. Here's what you get overall as you start to look at the different stages of hair loss with leading-edge treatments from prevention and restoration, including light laser therapy, topical oral medication, non-invasive TED treatments, hair restoration surgery, PRP, and stem cell restoration as well. And the caring patient advocates work with you from the first phone call to the last follow-up visit. They understand that the decision can be an emotional and challenging one, and they're up to help you with your experience, making it simple and stress-free. So if bald is optional now, but if you're still looking to keep your hair look pretty good, springtime is on the way. Summer right behind there. You want to be right. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit glatthairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. We'll talk about them a little bit later. We did pretty good. Anthony Davis messed me up a little bit tonight on our Bet365 selections. Not his fault, not my fault. But you know what it is good, though? Overall, a great night. It's always a good night to have a victory to talk about, but then also be joined by one of the best in the NBA, of course, from the DLLS team in Dallas, a part of the All-City Network, and, of course, Marc Stein and joining the Mavericks, helping out discussing there as well, but also Marc's Substack that he's done for many years and done a fantastic job as always covering the NBA. Marc Stein joining Rich Hoffman, Devon Givens. Marc, good to see you again, my friend.
Gentlemen, hope you're good. Pretty impressive win tonight. I think you'll probably get over the fact that there was no Anthony Davis when you step back and soak this one in.
Yeah, well, the Sixers they need to take it however they can get it.
There's been a lot of no ex-player for the Sixers so far this year, Marc, so they'll take it.
Yeah, they'll take this one, man. But listen, last time we talked to you, we were early in the season and the Sixers weren't doing all that well. Their record's still right now 9 games under 500, but still a pathway to make up a lot of ground. And while there is still that pathway to make ground, they've dug themselves into a bit of a hole. Jared McCain out, Joel Embiid with injuries that continue to pile up. Paul George also missing a lot of time. They've just had a number of players miss so much time, Marc, here for this team. And with the trade deadline upcoming, it really caught our eye the other day with the trade deadline now just over a week away, where Gershon Yabusele, who's become a fan favorite here in Philadelphia, is one that seemingly has a lot of interest around the NBA. And Mark, I got to tell you, a lot of Sixer fans don't want that to be the case for him to leave this city.
Yeah, I've already forgotten what day it was because I've written like 3 trade stories since Monday morning. Maybe it was the first one, but in one of these recent stories, yes, I did write about the Sixers have been getting multiple offers from playoff teams for Yabusele, and Eric Gordon is also generating some interest because if you really dig into it, coming into tonight, Eric Gordon was shooting nearly 50% on threes in 14 games in January. So these are proven players on very team-friendly contracts, and teams see what's happening with the Sixers, and they want to see if they can take advantage. But as you guys know better than me, the Sixers reside in the ever-forgiving Eastern Conference. I'm not sure if they can fall out of the playoff chase if they want to. So the way it's been laid out to me is they're basically going to, we're now 8 days and change away from the trade deadline. The buzzer sounds at 3 p.m. Eastern on February 6th. So I think they'll take, the next 5-6 days to really drill down on it. And let's be honest, they're talking to teams, they're taking calls, they're doing this as they go. But that's been the message coming out of Philly, that they're going to take this next 5-6 days to really decide, do they want to start stripping it down and play for draft position? But I think that's going to be too hard to do in the East. I mean, they're basically right there for number 10 as we speak. And, if this team is healthy, you'd expect them to get through the play-in round. And there are just too many bad teams below them.
Yeah.
That can they really sink, with the way the new lottery system is, you can fall 4 spots. That's the maximum slippage. So if you're trying to keep, what is the Sixers pick? Top 6 protected. You've got to have the second worst record to be completely sure that your pick isn't going to fall 4 spots. And, there's just way too many bad teams. We're going to see more tanking the longer this season goes. So, I think the Sixers look, we don't know Embiid's status. He's only played 13 games, but I think they're probably going to have to just stick it out and see how high up the ladder they can go, because I struggle to see a scenario where they can really lose as much as they want to lose. And, that Tyrese Maxey guy, when he plays like this, I mean, just having him is, that's a problem for other teams.
Absolutely. And Mark, Rich and I were talking pregame before this Lakers-Sixers matchup that this six-game homestand is these are the final games before the trade deadline. So should they do well enough at home, that could really dictate how the front office may want to attack the trade deadline altogether.
What do you guys have the beauty of being there every night, and obviously I love whenever we're in the DLS studios to be able to take the pulse of the people watching. What if I ask you guys to speak for Sixers fans, they don't want to tank, right? I mean, they'd rather stick this out and see what they can do in the playoffs.
No, they want to tank at this point because it's been such a disappointment where this was a championship caliber conversation at the beginning of the year after all the moves that they put together, the 3 All-Stars, including now Paul George. They have looked at it with such disappointment, Mark, that they have been, looking at Cooper Flagg and looking at Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, and all the other talented prospects out there where they have been fed up with this because this has been a disappointment of a season, and don't think that with Embiid's inability to stay on the floor, that even if they do make it to the postseason, that they will be able to challenge Cleveland, Boston, New York, Orlando, and those teams in a round, especially when they've always been these second round or first round exit Sixers team. They a majority, I would say a good majority, would like for them to.
It's mixed,
yeah.
But Mark, you have to understand where we came from, right? Like we have done the whole tanking thing here that kind of set up this whole era. And I think people are a little bit fed up with just the team stagnating and the disappointing season this year. So it's a little bit of both, I would say.
I mean, look, if there was a realistic pathway to a certain top 3 pick, I would get it. And this draft, there is talent beyond the top 3, but I think once you get I want to stress, I am not the draft expert you should be leaning on. There are people who cover the draft every day who know it much better than me, but I don't think it goes beyond 4, 5, 6 really that you get super, super excited about. So it's like, again, there are so many teams that the Sixers would have to pass on the slide down the ladder. I just don't know if that's possible either. So look, I totally get the frustration about the injuries and the situation with Embiid's availability. And look, I love Yabusele too. I mean, he was one of the absolute stars of the Olympics. The deal to get him on a minimum was, one of the absolutes. I mean, that's what's so crazy for the Sixers is the little stuff. Getting McCain in the draft where they did it, getting Yabusele for nothing. Really, multiple good minimum signings. Like, they've done those. I mean, if we would have had this discussion on June 1st and then seen where they were September 1st, you would have thought they checked almost every single box they could have wished for. But obviously the Embiid health situation has deteriorated so drastically. And Paul George has been nowhere near the Paul George we expect. So, I mean, those are two massive, massive issues that the little victories are not going to overcome.
Mark, it's interesting that you brought up Yabusele because I think he's like a very interesting piece here because they got him for the minimum contract. He has outplayed that contract. Like he is going to make more money next year. And I guess where I kind of fall on it is, will they be able to re-sign him? They obviously, I think they only max out at the mid-level exception, the taxpayer mid-level realistically if they can do it. And my whole thing is, I just don't know like what offers he's going to have, in a market where there's not a lot of cap space. There are other teams that have other sort of mid-level exceptions. I don't know if they're able to re-sign him. And to me, I completely agree with what you're saying. Like, I think they're too far past the tanking. I think if they can get Embiid back, they just got to try and go with this. But I wonder what the best move is to set them up for next year, kind of regardless of whether Embiid comes back and whether they make a playoff run here.
Well, look, I should stress, I think part of the reason Yabusele has so many fans around the league is because he's playing on such a team-friendly contract. I mean, there's no question. I think he will get more than minimum interest in the offseason, but I wouldn't go so far as to say he's going to be commanding full mid-level just yet. I mean, let's remember, this past offseason, only one player in the whole league got the full mid-level. DeAnthony Melton got it for 1 year in Golden State, and then very unfortunately for him, sustained a season-ending injury. But it was a 1-year deal at the full mid-level. So it sure looks obviously I'm 1,500 miles away, but it sure looks like Yabusele has found a home. It sure looks like he's happy there. I can't imagine he's in a rush to leave. So I would think the Sixers would have a decent chance at re-signing him, even though, yes, he's going to get much better offers than a 1-year minimum. But look, the Sixers are going to have to judge it, because again, teams want him. What kind of offers are they going to get between now and a week from Thursday? But like I said, I don't think they want to trade him, but they're in a position, I guess, where they have to listen. But, I think we're all in agreement here. I mean, tanking is just a mathematical challenge at this point.
Yep.
That is probably
too hard. Yeah.
Yep.
I would say one other thing, Mark, too, just because, the rules are so crazy with these new second aprons and kind of how difficult it is to make trades now. I kind of wonder if the Sixers, like when they have KJ Martin's contract, which I think a lot of people believed would be a trade asset, if they might make a move just because it sets them up better for next year. But like, I do wonder with the whole matching salary aspect, if, they need to hold on to some of these guys if they're going to make a move let's say next offseason. I don't know. It's one of those things where I like the idea of selling, theoretically, and they don't seem like they're that close to the playoffs. But just because you only have limited assets in this NBA, I just kind of wonder, like, maybe they might hold on, maybe they might stand pat, which some fans might not like.
Well, look, there's no question that when the KJ Martin deal was done, that around the league, everybody looked at that as a likely trade chip. And I don't think I really need to go too deep into Daryl Morey's history to say, we always expect him to make a move of some kind. That's just the way he's always operated. So, and look, if the decision is not to tank, and again, if we're all in agreement that that's realistically out of reach, and you have to try to have the best possible team you can field for a playoff run where you're going to be they're probably going to have to go through the play-in route. So they're probably going to be a 7th or 8th seed. They're going to they won't have home court in any round. So is there some kind of upgrade they can make? I have no doubt they are looking for that. It's just obviously with so much focus on Butler, De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine, Chicago. There's so many things that are kind of dominating the trade deadline discussion. There hasn't been much Sixers talk, but that's again why I was kind of excited to hear those rumbles and be able to include that in one of my recent stories, because it has been unusually quiet around the Sixers when you think about Daryl Morey and always expecting him to make moves. So, the fact that Yabusele and Gordon are generating interest, the way those guys are playing, it really isn't surprising. Given the contracts they possess, it isn't surprising.
One final one for me, Mark, when you also look at how things are going on, of course, in Dallas with the injuries that are taking place, just teams in general taking hits to a lot of stars in terms of injuries that have knocked a lot of players back, a lot of teams back to unexpected spots here. As you mentioned here in the Eastern Conference, things have been just so bad that even with the Sixers' injuries so far this season, that they are simply still in the mix overall. So looking, as you said, from afar, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again down the line, just kind of an overview of should they make, this push here in the run towards the postseason, and if they are able to get Embiid out there on the floor a little bit, just while not knowing the complete roster of anything that Morey may do going forward here over the next 8.5 days, of just how tough of an out they could be should they finally get that runway to actually play some basketball together.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would want to see, if you're the 1 or 2 seed, you don't want to see the Sixers in the first round. And
right.
Look, the East, we knew the West would be much deeper, but really both conferences, when you look at it, the West, outside of the top 4, there's been, there are a lot of teams going through it, a lot of teams struggling, and the team that Philly beat tonight, the Lakers, are in that group. I mean, the West has not been the monster we thought it was, and by the same token, I thought the bottom of the East would be as bad as it looks, but I actually thought the top 8 in the East was going to be more competitive and just a higher quality of basketball than we saw last season. And I mean, we really have, Cleveland has obviously been one of the stories of the season, but the Celtics now have been very mediocre for 20 odd games. The Knicks have had their moments, but they're asking a lot of their starting 5. They've got major depth issues. They still haven't seen Mitchell Robinson. Orlando's been pretty inspiring with the way they've handled all of their injuries, but the top of the East, I would say that 1 to 8, 1 to 10 has also been an overall disappointment, and I guess that is what is keeping Philly's dreams of doing something this season alive. But you guys said it exactly right. This team was not assembled to be a tough out in the first round for the 1st or 2nd seed. This team was supposed to contend for a championship. This team supposedly won the offseason. And with the state of Embiid's health, with what they've gotten from Paul George, winning the offseason didn't mean a whole lot.
Mark, I guess the last one for me, and this isn't Sixers related, but I think a lot of people in the chat would probably be curious about it. What do you make of this whole Jimmy Butler situation down in Miami?
I mean, it's unlike anything we've ever seen from Miami. I just posted a story an hour ago, and it is the messiest
Yes.
and most draining saga in the history of the Pat Riley era. Like, you would never have thought that a player would push back on the Miami Heat the way Jimmy Butler has. I mean, we've never seen anything like it. And, contractually, since this thing had started to unravel, contractually, even 2-3 weeks ago, you could make the case that, it would have been better for Miami to just play this out, get through the season, get to the offseason, and then deal with it. It has become so untenable there that all the signals now are that Miami really just wants to find a Butler trade. They want to move him wherever they can to move on with their season. But they've got other objectives as well to keep it. The biggest thing in Miami is they don't want to take contracts that go beyond next season because they want to have cap space for 2026. But also, they have to make the playoffs this season. Because if they miss the playoffs this season, they keep their pick in this draft, but then they give unprotected firsts to OKC and Charlotte in 26 and 28. Unprotected firsts. So the Heat really have to make the playoffs. And that's something else they've got to factor into their trade here. They want to get guys who don't have long-term deals that mess with that cap space in 2026, but they also want to be good enough to make sure that they can get in the East top 6, preferably, so they don't have to mess with the play-in, but just they've got to make the playoffs. They have to make the playoffs. So there are so many layers to this thing. And then with the whole De'Aaron Fox situation, I mean, look, I think we've already seen 5 trades, and now we've got, Butler and De'Aaron Fox discourse. I mean, this is a pretty, it's a pretty active trade deadline, I would say. Yep.
Well, you can catch the Hall of Famer Marc Stein at the DLLS Mavericks, and of course his Substack, Marc Stein, Substack.com. Check him out. He's the best. Again, we just said it. He's a Hall of Famer, and we appreciate the time as always, Mark. And I'm sure we'll be, number one, paying attention to you for some news between now and the February 6th, which is next Thursday. And we hope to catch up with you somewhere down the line once again here on our show.
Sounds great, guys. Good to be with you again, and we will definitely do it again soon.
Thanks again, Marc Stein.
Thanks,
from
Mark.
DLLS Mavericks and the markstein.substack.com joining us here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show. You were just kind of shaking your head at, that's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that part.
I did not know that either.
That they had to make the playoffs to ensure that their picks are not unprotected.
They're going to make the play-in. It's just a matter of if they make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, Jimmy's pretty important to
making the
playoffs.
Back.
Yeah,
but you got to get something back for him too to maintain things. All right, let's take a quick break. Come back. We'll check in with the guys again from the arena after the Sixers' big win, 118-104 here on this Tuesday night, front end of a back-to-back with the Kings in town tomorrow. They took down one King tonight. Can they take down the Kings tomorrow? We'll find out. We'll talk about it a little bit more right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. And I mentioned earlier, we got to stay on Bet365. Anthony Davis, what are you doing, my man? You dominated the boards last night. I go with you tonight with over 12.5. You get injured, only play just less than 10 minutes. That's okay. It's not your fault. It's not my fault either. But we did hit on the others, right, Rich? We got overall, you had Kelly Oubre for 20+ in this game.
Kelly.
He hit that number. I had Tyrese Maxey to make 4+ threes. He did that. Good to go. We both hit those. So if you got rid of the Anthony Davis part and just put our two together there, you made out pretty well at Bet365, the number one sports betting app out there. Live streams, 780,000 events a year, 90 million users worldwide. Early payout offers in the NHL, NBA, MLB, and NFL. And if you had the Sixers tonight, they were up by, I don't know if they made it to 20, but they were up big in this game overall. But hopefully you put something nice together there at Bet365. And on NBA tip-off Tuesdays, it's never ordinary. As we mentioned, you place a qualifying parlay bet totaling $20 or more on Tuesday NBA games, and you get up to $25 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions do apply. So we love the app. We hope you love the app. If you haven't signed up and you're just hearing about it, please jump in, sign up at Bet365 because we do have breaking news. It's not a trade, though. It's from Bet365. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose, sign up, use code PHLY365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, and you get 150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. So if you're feeling good about your football team and you want to get some early things in there, jump on in at Bet365 right now. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And Devon, I'm here to talk about TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Did all of that holiday shopping leave you with a credit card balance that is weighing you down? It might have for me.
A little bit.
Now, think about this. What if you could pay it off faster and with zero interest until 2026? It's true, because TrueMark Financial is offering zero interest on balance transfers for 12 months, so all of your payments can go toward reducing your balance and not just recovering the interest. Here's the play. Transfer your existing balance from another institution to a TrueMark Financial Visa credit card and take advantage of this amazing offer. But hurry, you have to apply by February 28th, 2025. This is not a year-round offer. So whether you're interested in earning rewards, cashback, or simply prefer a low rate for everyday purchases, with TrueMark Financial, you can choose the credit card that best fits your financial needs. Visit TrueMark.com/compare for full details to apply today. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by NCUA, an equal opportunity lender. Terms and conditions apply. All loans are subject to approval, and a 3% balance transfer fee applies. Standard rates apply after the promotional rate.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. We once again appreciate Marc Stein for joining us, Hall of Famer that he is. I did want to say this. Key to King 01 in the chat was saying, Devon, speak for yourself when Mark asked about what the Sixer fans want in terms of. I was getting there, and mostly it was, hey, not me. He was asking about what the fans wanted, and we've had way more. While you said it, it's pretty split, but
you're reading it every day.
It's more a majority of people who are like, I'm fed up with this team. Let's just get a draft. Let's keep our draft pick. Not just here in our Twitter accounts, social media as well. So, Key, it's not my opinion. It's based on what we've been able to gather when we listen to the fan base, when we do the shows, when we get interaction on social media. A good majority of people want this team to just kind of go away. Even though you still have plenty of basketball left, they just want to go away. They want to try to keep that top 6 pick and not give it to OKC because most people believe they're going to get smacked in the playoffs and Joel Embiid is not going to be healthy enough to stay on the floor anyway. So just clear, it's not my opinion. It's based on my opinion of what we've heard from people. That's it.
Here's my opinion on generally what they should do. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know how this looks in practice, Devon. They should not be buyers. Like the idea that they are buying, and when I mean buyers, I mean like short-term buyers. Right. If there is a player that can help them next year and now is the right time to make that move, then go ahead. But, it's funny. Being a seller, I'm not sure that necessarily helps you for next year. I am like Yabu, I am fascinated by because, yes, he has completely outplayed his current contract. But you heard Mark. He said only one player got the full mid-level exception. Teams do not like going above that taxpayer mid-level because it locks you in at one of those aprons. It's a very restrictive thing to hand out now. Mm-hmm. And I think Brooklyn is the only team in the NBA with like legit cap space now. Would they want Yabu? Maybe. I'm not sure. I do think, though, that the middle class is going to get squeezed a lot in this current iteration of the CBA. So I'm just saying, like, the idea that there's automatically a $10 million offer out there for him, I'm not sure that's the case. Now, that is Daryl Morey's job to figure that out.
And his agent.
Because if there is, then you got to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Then you got to get rid of him and sell him for the highest price.
Yeah.
And obviously, but, you know, maybe it's a Kelly Oubre thing. Maybe you can sign him to that mid-level contract, and then you can give him a lot more money next year when you're able to
100%.
to go over the salary cap. Anyway, I think it's a kind of a
and it's also because he's already underneath your control. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could pay him more next year
right.
as opposed to this year. It's a fascinating calculus. Now, I don't know what the market's going to be like for Yabu next year. It's also kind of the same thing with like the KJ Martin contract where, you know, I'm not selling everything right now because you're going to have to make a trade next year to improve the team unless you want to just tear the entire thing apart. I don't think that's realistic at this point. Anyway, it's one of those things where I understand fans that want to tear it all down. I don't think the Sixers are going to do that. And I also just don't know what the right exact moves are going to be responsible with your assets, with your contracts, all those things. I think it's going to be a fascinating trade deadline for the Sixers. And dude, they might just stay put.
So yesterday during the show, you always listen in yesterday we talked about trade deadline options that we think are good players to target for the Sixers. 3 of them, Ayo Dosunmu was one from Derek. Kyle also went, well, I'm sorry, who did Kyle go with? I went with Cam Johnson from the Brooklyn Nets, and I can't remember. I'm trying to think who Kyle. Jabari Smith from, thank you, Bree. Jabari Smith from Houston Rockets. Those are the 3 names that we brought up, all where you can, you know, cost control, of course, when you talk about looking towards the future. Santi Aldama was the you know, the starting point, but we've all talked about him enough where we didn't really want to get too deep into him. So if I had to ask you, who would be one target for you? If, as we talked about those 4, is there someone, I know I'm throwing you right on the spot with this one, but is there a position? We all basically went wings. Guys that had length, can shoot, can do a lot of versatility, can do, even Ayo Dosunmu at 6'4", 6'5" as a guard. He can do a lot of things.
Well, can you re-sign these guys too, right? That's the thing. Like I love the idea of getting Jabari Smith in here, but like, are you going to be able to re-sign him on his next contract?
Right.
Same thing with Santi, and that's probably the reason that Memphis and Houston would be looking to get rid of those guys. Those teams have a lot of really good players that are going to get expensive soon at some point. So I don't know exactly what the right answer is. The other thing I would say, Devon, about these trades too, like if you're just going to get like 2 kind of crappy second round picks for him, like I think a lot of teams think like, oh, they got to sell him because they're bad and we're going to be sharks and, you know, we're going to get this really good player on this minimum contract and we're just going to be able to throw him junk. Like, would Yabu get a first round pick? I don't think he would in the market that we've seen. Like first round picks, teams are holding on to those right now. Now, would a team like Memphis or Houston demand a first round pick? I think they probably would.
Probably
for those players. But yeah, I think a wing would be an interesting player. There are a few different directions they can go here, but here's how I think the Sixers are going to deal with it, Devon. They're going to try and best position themselves to compete next year.
Yep.
If that means buying now, I think they're going to do it.
Yep.
If it means staying put now, I think they're going to do it.
Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats with the Super Chat in this particular discussion right now, should aim for youth, proven players, or restricted free agents at the trade deadline. Thanks, Davon, as always. What are your thoughts on that? I mean,
that's the point. Can you re-sign these guys? And obviously, having the restricted rights would help on a few of those guys. I know Jabari is on his rookie contract, but you know, how do they fit in to your salary cap structure when you got 3 guys making a ton of money right now? So that's the tough thing about this.
Yeah, it really is, man. Really is a tough thing for this one. Yabusele played pretty well tonight. Rich looked pretty good out there.
He was great, yeah.
Yeah, 14, 5 boards, 3 assists.
He saw the birds and he was ready to go.
Yes, he saw his new friends, man, from the new sport that he likes. But yeah, man, he was good once again tonight. He was really good. He was really good.
Some of those drives he makes, like the pump fakes.
Yeah, 4 steals, man.
He was really good early in the game. You know, a lot of the Sixers did a good job. The Lakers, terrible passing night for them, just lazy passes all over the place. But Yabu was like, he was fronting AD and he was beating him to the spot and getting steals, creating havoc. I thought he did a great job attacking closeouts. That's one of Yabu's best things too. When the ball swings to him, teams respect him enough on that jump shot that sometimes they close out a step too far. And if that's the case, man, he gets a nice head of steam going to the rim and he tears it down, man. I really enjoy Yabu. Obviously, the great play where
we're getting to it.
We're going to get to that on AD. I mean, gosh, they had the Sixers had my guy JJ. He was mad tonight, Devon. He was like grabbing the ball, like pounding it into the floor. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you mentioned that one. And Connect shot the ball. Was it Connect or Reeves? One of those two guys shot the ball after the timeout. The ball came back towards him, kind of bounced in his area, and he tried to really just, but you do something like that, you can still get a tech. You're not playing right now, JJ. You still get techs if you try to slam the ball like that and not give the ball to the officials. So, yeah, he was hot tonight overall. Hot. JJ was. But look, Yabusele did what he was supposed to do. Struggled a little bit, as you said. He did some good things against Anthony Davis, but and he had the 10 in the first quarter. Most of that was against Anthony Davis, but he also, while the points didn't really go up like that after Davis left, you could see, though, that he was really, really comfortable out there against the rest of those guys. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Wasn't close. Jackson Hayes, what was the Kokolo?
Losing AD.
Koloko, yeah.
Going to those guys, that was quite a drop off on the defensive end tonight. So he was good. Let's talk about Rick. He was good, man.
Go get him, Rick.
Don't send him down to Delaware.
He got demoted. He went to Delaware, and he said, I'm sick of this. And look, he got those minutes, man, and we were like, all right, let's see what he does. Let's see exactly what Ricky does. And he came out right away, man, and his minutes were really good in that second quarter where he was 3 for 3. He hit that 1 3-pointer at the end of the second quarter going into the locker room, to push that lead to 16, where I said to Rich and Bree, don't shoot it that early. He was wide open. Granted, he was wide open in the corner, but there were like 5 seconds left on the shot on the game clock. Don't give them an opportunity, but he got sent down to the G League, and I guess he came out tonight and played as if he was ticked off, Rich, that he was sent down to the G League and that those minutes now go to Justin Edwards.
As Cannoli said, that and Justin Edwards has been starting over him. Yeah, he said that
My bad, Cannoli.
The same point you said it, too.
Yeah.
So great minds think alike. We know.
What did you think of him?
Cannoli has a great line. I mean, I thought his energy was great. And it's, I thought he was emblematic of what I said earlier on, that this was the first time in a while that the Sixers just had the fresher legs. They won every 50-50 ball, man. They were just faster to everything tonight. And some of that is just that Rick was shot out of a cannon like he always is, but it felt like it was a more concentrated effort. And it also helps when he makes his threes. I thought his threes were higher quality. Like his feet were set. He obviously made the crazy one in front of the Lakers bench in the third, fourth quarter, whenever that was. Okay, that wasn't a great shot, but game was kind of out of hand by that point.
He's feeling himself.
He made it anyway. I thought he was really good. I like
16. He made 3 out of 6 with 16 points off the bench.
I thought Justin Edwards, again, like not a great offensive night, although a very nice moment for him at the end of the shot clock, making the step back jumper against LeBron James. Like LeBron,
he's talking about that one tonight, man.
He guarded him well, and Justin Edwards has the confidence to make that shot. That was really good, and I thought his defense was great. Let's talk about also the guy who was tasked with guarding LeBron James for most of the game, Eric Gordon. He needs, obviously we have a ton of great partners who we read their advertisements throughout the show. Eric Gordon needs to get with whoever the dentist was that handled him, because that dentist rejuvenated his season. Eric Gordon looked completely washed. And obviously,
his mouth was clearly hurting for the first 20 games of the season.
The mouth,
clearly,
whatever was going on with his tooth was weighing him down. He was, when he was falling down in the pain, he was like, I got a toothache. This is killing me. I can't shoot straight right now. He's been great. I mean, obviously, he's making the threes that we expected him to make earlier in the season. His form on his jump shot is very pretty, but like he's getting closed out hard enough, Devon, that it's very ground bound. It's not 24-year-old Eric Gordon who could get up and dunk on you really hard.
But the mind still works, man. He remembers when he used to do that stuff, man. It's still there. The mind still works.
And as Freddie points out, yes, he has the old man strength where, yeah,
put that shoulder into him, Freddie. Put that shoulder into
him.
He
might not be able to jump up, but he will throw that shoulder into him. And he's been playing really well over the past few weeks.
So Eric Gordon's Dennis, come on in. Join the PHLY family.
We will mention how important you have been to turning Eric Gordon's season around.
Yeah, you know it's also important. I'm going to shameless this one. You know what's important?
What?
We need our chapstick sponsorship because between me, you, Derek, we all are chapstick, man. We're like, yeah. So Rite Aid, we're good with the Rite Aid people, but come on in. Come on and join us. We ready yet, Bree? No, not yet. All right. So those are good. Also with Ricky.
What's going on with these guys?
Also with Ricky, just to go, I saw he tweeted out that he was about to come in, so I thought he was there, and we were just talking over it. But with Ricky, though, 7 boards, and what like we all talk about, all 5 of us talk about with Ricky Council, he goes up and no doubts those rebounds. He doesn't give guys.
He had some great rebounds.
He doesn't give guys an opportunity to go out there and get them. Kelly Oubre, though.
Great rebounds out of the zone tonight, too, from Ricky, which is it's always hard to rebound out of the zone because you don't have an individual box out responsibility. Rick was just high point in the basketball tonight.
Yes, he was.
Great job.
Gene says cavity busters saved the season. let's head down to the arena, check in with the guys, the fellas hanging out with us after a really good win. Kyle jumps in just in time where Gene was telling us, Kyle, that the cavity busters have saved the season because ever since Eric Gordon has returned to form, he has really returned to form, shooting the ball the way that he did again tonight.
Hey, listen, man, there was one possession in the first half where I think it was LeBron guarding Eric Gordon, and LeBron was like either on or in front of the three-point line. But you guys know Eric Gordon's threes are all like 27 feet away. And Eric Gordon looked LeBron up and down like, are you out of your mind? I'm letting this fly. And then just like cans the spot up 3. So, yeah, shout out to the wisdom teeth surgery that may have swung the season, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, not necessarily swinging the season yet, of course, for the team overall, 3 wins in a row. But this one I saw with your update there at the end of the game, your recap, where you said Tyrese Maxey dominated. We just looked at it also back here, and we said that he just went out there and put on the show. And Kyle, he did it at every level, from behind the three-point line, mid-range, took advantage of LeBron's kid tonight, and also got to the rim, the free throw line. He did it all tonight. And this is what we've asked of him when we've talked about some of the things that we've been critical of with Tyrese Maxey. He's been brilliant these last couple of weeks.
I couldn't agree more. And Devon, I'm so glad you brought up that he was hunting Bronny out there, because I thought it was so glaringly obvious. They bring him in, and it's like they saw the Sixers play poorly early in the game, and it's hey, heat check time, throw Bronny out there. Yep. And they played Hunt the Bozo for the rest of the first quarter. And so Maxey gets ahead of steam rolling. And I agree with you. Like, we're seeing some of the stuff that we always see from him, right? Like the downhill speed and the step back threes and whatnot. But I also think he's sprinkling in things that you're hoping to see from him in terms of the growth, right? Like he's driving to his left and scoring left occasionally. He's making incisive passing reads in the middle of the floor. One thing that Nick Nurse spotlighted that Maxey actually gave a pretty long answer on tonight was dealing with traps and kind of the mentality of just getting off the ball quick, trusting your teammates, and allowing that to facilitate good offense, right? Like Tyrese making a good read against a trap, you don't even have to make a really difficult mechanical pass, because when they trap you, Yabu or whoever's getting that ball, they're not playing 4-on-3. So you're going to get a good shot opportunity. And he talked about the process of learning to trust that and learning to just say, I have to be aggressive. Like, I can't let them take me out of the game. But I know how it works when Joel gets doubled. I'm the guy who gets the good opportunities as a result of that. And so I think you've seen a lot of growth and maturation from him on that front. And I think that's a big part of, when he has the opportunities where he's getting single coverage, it's full steam ahead, because he knows if he doesn't take advantage of those, the doubles and the traps are going to take him out of a game.
He definitely did a great job with the traps. It's a good point about the left hand, Kyle. My favorite play of the night was he rejected a screen, went left, and found Eric Gordon for a 3, getting all the way into the paint. That's not the usual type of assist we've seen from Tyrese so far this year, but he was just awesome. A couple other guys who I thought were awesome. You mentioned Eric Gordon earlier. Sixers, bunch of steals tonight, and the Lakers, like, terrible passes. I don't want to not give them discredit for how they played, but I thought the 2 young guys, let's throw Ricky in there too. 3 young guys. Ricky,
go get him, Rick.
Justin Edwards, and Adam Bona. It felt like the first time, like, in a while, where the Sixers were the more athletic team. They were getting to every 50-50 ball, and they got it from the young guys tonight. The young guys bought into the system. You had Justin Edwards taking on the LeBron assignment a little bit. Just thought it was a good night from those 3 guys.
Yeah, so we can quick hit all 3 of those guys. I loved, and I asked them in the locker room after the game, the fact that LeBron lumbering down the lane, he just had no fear, right? Like he said, if LeBron's going up 10 times, I'm going up 10 times. And I might get 2 blocks like I did tonight. He might dunk on me once. I'm going to keep jumping because that's my job. And, you know, I want to be the guy that imposes fear on other people, not the other way around. So, like, I just absolutely love that mentality. I hate guys that are, you know, afraid of being a highlight on Instagram or whatever. So that's a great approach. Justin, the sequence of the night for him was he drills a 3 in LeBron's face and then goes right back down the other end, denies the entry pass, turnover, Tyrese Maxey 3 in transition. And, you know, the Nick Nurse and the coaching staff have been really happy with him in terms of just positioning, instincts, and like being in the right place, but also being willing to fight at the point of attack, like get over a screen, turn your hips, swivel, do all that to just like stay in a play. He needs to cut down on a little bit of the reaching and like the young guy fouls, but I think by and large you can see the ingredients for a good defender there. And then Ricky, less about the defensive stuff and more about made some 3s, right? But also it's just a good response to, there are guys that get sent down to the G League after getting a standard contract and they would pout and be like, why me? And show up with a mopey attitude, whatever. And so Ricky took that in stride from all accounts. And this is from Nick's own mouth. He said that he played the right way in Delaware, wasn't just out there jacking shots. He's trying to buy into what they want from him. And I thought he played a composed game on offense tonight. And that's kind of the key for him, right? Is play within yourself, show the energy. We know you can rebound. We know you can, you know, go up and dunk and transition and make athleticism plays. It's about, you know, the play-to-play calmness and poise, and I think you saw more of that from him tonight.
And Kyle, when you look at all of that, after the 25-25 start between the 2 teams and the Sixers got down 12-5, they battled back to even the score after 1. They threw and hung 48 on the Lakers in that second quarter. One of their most impressive quarters, if not the best quarter of the season, with 3 players in double figures. You get 9 from Ricky off the bench there. Just how it looked to you of what they did in that second quarter to turn things around, 16-point lead at the half and never relinquishing it and getting, once again, this big win tonight.
Yeah, so we can be honest. We'll say some of that is Anthony Davis gets removed from the game. LA just does not have options to stop you, but you still got to make shots and execute. And one of the other things that we saw tonight that's been a consistent theme the last 3 games, their 3 wins, better execution against zone offense. Like this team is getting into their sets quickly. They're moving the ball. It's no hesitation. Like Yabu's getting to the nail, quick hitter to him, back out to the perimeter, swinging around, and you're either getting an open 3 or guys are timing their cuts and their closeout attacks well. So that's a big part of it. I think you see on the whole a team that looks like they're getting more reps together, a team that looks like they have some familiarity where they can flow from one action to the next. And they do have the trust in like, hey, this is supposed to be the read. I'm swinging the ball there, right? Like it's not a dribble the clock out. Like even, and I think it does start with Maxey to some extent, right? I think he's, whether it's the traps or whether it's just like a normal offensive possession, running a pick and roll, running dribble handoffs, I think the speed at which he's making decisions is important as an example to set for everybody, because when you set the tone as that lead guy, that allows everybody else to kind of fall into place.
And Kyle, even when Maxey wasn't in the game, all 3 of us were watching it and we said, look at these plays. Look at what they're doing. They're running stuff. And I've watched games with you, Bree, and Derek, and of course with Rich in here. And we've all said, what are they doing out there? It's just, pick and roll, pick and pop, and that's it. Where's the creativity? But tonight it looked like they were running real actions that led to real good execution and points on the board.
Yeah, and so I think some of that probably is a credit to the coaching staff, right? And we've been pretty critical of Nick Nurse and what we feel, or what I have felt at times, has been a stylistic mismatch, that they do need to run more structure. They do need to maybe be more of a play-to-play execution team rather than a free-flowing team. And so, you give credit to everybody here, right? If we're going to pour it on everybody when they struggle, you certainly got to give credit when it's due and when they turn it around. And so now the key is, you start getting, hopefully at some point, some of these other guys back. How do you maintain this momentum and some of the chemistry that they've built with guys that are going to disrupt that and, add some question marks into the rotation?
Kyle, as somebody who has sat with you for a lot of these games, how was that JJ temper tantrum in person?
I honestly did not see a whole lot of it. Are you talking, did he have a temper tantrum during the game?
Yeah.
Or are we talking about how he...
Yeah, he took a timeout and he spiked the ball and he was screaming. He was legit screaming at either LeBron or Austin Reeves. I'm not a lip reader, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah, listen, I must have been so locked in on writing for our readers that I did not see it. So I'll have to go back and I did enjoy the he is such a interesting guy at the podium as a coach, right? And Rich, we dealt with it a lot in the locker room with JJ, where there are times when he gets a question and he'll give a really insightful, enlightening answer. And then there are nights where you think you asked him a pretty good question and he gives you a 2-word, yeah, that's what happened. and it's hard to tell which version of JJ you're going to get a lot of the time.
In coaching mode now.
He was the number one. If he got a cliche question like, how big was that 10-2 run? He would just give you, it's big. But if you were if you got super nerdy and were like, JJ, how about when they were top locking you and you guys decided to run the back? He would go on for 4 minutes. It was, he was a very interesting, I enjoyed covering him. But yeah, as a coach, he probably gets that even more now.
Yeah. I've seen some, to your point, I think in LA, I've seen some press conference quotes come up and it's oh wow, that's a pretty insightful answer, and then he gets asked the wrong question or a question he doesn't like, and it's well, good luck next time, the reporter, because you ain't getting anything else from him tonight.
Last one for me, man. We talked about it a lot on the show yesterday, and we saw it tonight. The bell ringers of all the Philadelphia Eagles that you tweeted out, and the Sixers finally acknowledged them on social media as well. What was the sense like there in the building as all of that finally happened?
Our long national nightmare is over. The Sixers have finally acknowledged that the Eagles beat the Commanders in a playoff game. So it was a cool environment, and there were further arrivals after the bell ringing ceremony. I did see Jalen Carter snuck in at some point and was hanging out. I believe I somehow omitted Darius Slay from the group of players that I listed, which there were a bunch of them, and I forgot the other guys that were up there. But that's one that I think is easy to remember, and he is one of their real important guys. So it was we didn't get as many EAGLES chants as perhaps I would have expected, but plenty of time during this homestand between now and the Super Bowl to rev it up and get ready for the big one 2 Sundays from now.
I'm just relieved that Josh Harris didn't go 0 for 4 in 4 straight days at the sports complex. The Devils lost last night to the Flyers, if people are not up on that. So,
bad weekend.
So Josh got to win the night. You got to win the night, and it was for the good guys.
Well, I won't say bad weekend because the Sixers did win on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
He had a bad Sunday and Monday. For sure. All right, man. Well, we'll let you get out of here because we'll be back with you tomorrow, of course, with the Sixers taking on the Kings in the second night of a back-to-back. Kyle, thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you then.
Sounds good, fellas. Get home safe.
You too, man. Appreciate it. Kyle Neubeck joining us live from the arena. Don't forget to read Kyle's recap at allphly.com. and sign up to become a diehard member. And you sign up, you get a free T-shirt. We've got some T-shirts on, me and Rich. Look at that. I need to stand up so you can see the logo. Look at that.
Look at that. You can see the logo.
You can see the logo. Go ahead and get the shirts. Sign up, get the free T-shirt. Choose one of those. Support our show, of course. You can support the Eagles as they are getting ready to take on the Chiefs, the stinking Chiefs in the bowl. Whatever you do, go ahead, sign up to become a diehard member at allphly.com. Get Rich's newsletter every day. Kyle and Derek with their piece. The diehard draft guide from Fran, that's also out there. The best in the business when it comes to that. Diehard, allphly.com.
So Fusion corrected us. It was because Austin Reeves, after the bad possession, he shot the ball after the whistle had blown.
So it was Austin Reeves.
It was Austin Reeves, and JJ got mad, and he grabbed the ball and wanted to spike it or whatever. Anyway.
Thanks, Fusion.
I really liked covering JJ. Honestly, he was my favorite player to cover. But it was pretty funny to watch.
One of my favorite conversations talking to him was when he first got here.
Yeah.
And we were talking about because he had started the podcast. He started with The Ringer at the time, and we started talking about that. So you know how it is. JJ, as you said, you can talk to JJ Redick, and he can be really insightful about basketball.
He usually was really insightful with me.
But when you talked about other stuff too, he really got into it when you took it away from the basketball part. Even though his podcast is about basketball, just talking about the everything, the detail that goes into it, how he really does his research and all that. Fun dude to talk to.
He is one of those dudes who, when he gets interested in a subject, and obviously he's super interested in basketball, he dives 100%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether it's podcasting, golf, there was a bunch of things. He was a good guy to talk to. It was one of his best answers ever. He talked about how cold the Wells Fargo Center is. And he was basically I've never been in a colder arena. I got to the point where he asked the Sixers staffer to just take the temperature of all the arenas at the beginning of the games. And he's like, we have the coldest arena.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good stuff because
and
we're in agreement with it.
I was like, I agree.
Yeah.
It's freezing, man.
Yeah. I always make sure I layered up when I went in there. And never catch me without long sleeves in that building because it's always cold. And I get cold pretty quickly. All right, let's get to the player of the game here tonight. Talk about, as we know, game high, 43, 9 for 9 from the free throw line, 4 of 11 from behind the three-point line. We didn't really look at too many threes and say that was a bad shot. No, we didn't. And he also had 2 steals. He continues to get 2 steals these games now. It's just, you can pretty much book it. So bet 365 with the steals with Tyrese Maxey. Even if you just want to do one, just do the one because he's getting a steal.
One of my favorite plays of the game, Lakers try to post up Rui Hachimura against him on the screen. LeBron is telling Rui, get in the post, put him under the basket. Tyrese is so strong now that he jostles with Rui, and then LeBron throws a 50-50 ball that usually the taller player will get. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say it was a bad pass by LeBron, but because Tyrese is so strong, and obviously he gets up off the floor pretty quickly, he tips it away for the steal. Just awesome effort and athleticism from Tyrese there.
I'm familiar with that game. Small dude.
Yeah.
A lot of people trying to post me up. Sneak around. Go ahead and try to do all that. So our player of the game, as AA Ron says, player of the game is a total shocker with the laughing emoji. You're absolutely right. Player of the game tonight, Tyrese Maxey, brought to you by Rich.
Nobody.
Thank you. All right. We also have one more to give to you tonight as we talk about this game. Let you guys get ready for bed because we got a game tomorrow, so a lot of content for us tomorrow. Strong and Wrong tonight. The candidate, Strong and Wrong. 2 involved in the Strong and Wrong. He had a flashback, Rich, to the Olympics. It was 1, Gershon Yabusele. Look at this. Rumbling down the floor after a steal. Anthony Davis on his back. He puts him in the rim with him. And that's where Anthony Davis decided, I've had enough. I've seen enough. I'm not playing the rest of the night. Our Strong and Wrong moment of the night. Look at this.
Another poster to add to Yabu's collection.
He does this once a week. And that's his trademark right there. He hangs on the rim on one arm, swinging on the rim. The dancing bear, fleet of foot. Give it to him.
For a player who barely gets over the rim on a lot of his dunk attempts.
He doesn't miss them, man.
It's unbelievable how many of them he finishes.
He does it every time.
He's like the greatest 10-foot, 5-inch dunker I've ever seen in my life. Now, that's not to say if he really gets ahead of steam, he gets up higher than that. But man, like he finishes through contact.
Jay says look like an animal. We said it. There was a lot of contact on that one. That was a lot of contact, Jay. We agree with you. But great steal, great finish with the picking up the basketball, cradling it, get to the finish. And that's hard to do, man, to dunk it at that angle with the shot blocker coming right behind you to take that away from you.
Because the lane wasn't open.
It was not. He created
like
it.
2 steps.
Yes, he
from
created
the basket,
all of that. Great job by Yabusele. That was our strong and wrong winner of the night. Brought to you by Rich.
Nobody.
No one. There you go. All right. That should do it for us tonight, huh?
I think that's good for tonight.
That's a good one tonight. Appreciate everybody hanging out late night with us. Once again, we will be back. 7:30 start tomorrow night as well. So we have a 7 o'clock pregame. At least that's what I remember. Am I right, Bree? I think it's the 7:30. 7:30 tomorrow, 7 o'clock start for us.
What is this? It's not even on ESPN.
It's not a nationally televised game?
What are we doing? I'm already complaining like a sports writer.
I thought it was a nationally televised game. Maybe I was wrong, but it is a 7:30 start.
It is a 7:30 start.
So 7 o'clock pregame for us. So we'll be here with you. I wanted to ask Kyle, too, about his story. We can ask him tomorrow about the Jimmy Butler stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, because he wrote a great piece at allphly.com about Jimmy Butler and the potential rumors out there about Butler coming back to Philadelphia.
Cannoli pointing out, did anyone hear the commentator say Yabu doesn't look like he has an NBA body? That was Greg Anthony. And you pointed this out right away. It's like, yeah, okay, he's like a little thicker than an average NBA player, but he was basically like, if you would see him down the street, you wouldn't think he was an NBA player. Bro, he's 6'8".
6'8".
He's got that requirement to be an NBA player.
Or a football player at 6'8".
It's not like shocking that he's an NBA player when you're 6'8".
And I thought Greg Anthony did a nice job tonight.
Oh, I like Greg Anthony.
Did a really good job.
As an announcer.
He was wrong on that one. It's like, come on, man.
Come on.
Yeah, you were good at everything else.
If I saw him on the street, I would say it's not stunning that guy is an NBA player.
That dude's an athlete.
Because I'm looking up like this.
That's what we'd be looking at. Cannoli with a super chat. How much influence, if any, does Joe have in terms of moves made at the deadline? If he vetoed a Yabu trade, would they even listen?
It's a good question.
I don't know.
I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know. Most superstars have a voice, but I don't know how long that voice goes in the ultimate decision. I don't know.
Can't do something stupid just because Joe wants to do it.
No.
But he...
Like bringing Jimmy Butler back?
Well, we can get into that tomorrow.
Skunk Riley with the haiku for us on a happy Tuesday.
Skunk.
Lovely game tonight. Don't matter the Lakers suck. A win is a win.
That's beautiful, Skunk.
You're absolutely right, because the Sixers are at this point 18-27 or 19-27, and they need every win possible. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. Get the W. And that's it for the Sixers. 18-27 on the season, 9 games under 500. Kings in town tomorrow. Kings off tonight, but they are sitting with a record of 24-22.
Been good. Doug Christie, coach of the year.
It started with the Sixers, by the way.
Yes, it did.
It started with the Sixers. It's all their fault. All right, let's get ready to have at it with the world-famous roll call. Late night. Let's run through these here tonight. Got better love somebody in the chat. Freddie Powell, Neil Deaver. What up, Neil? I Gavini. Always great to see you. Hey, Jeannie. Holy Cannoli hanging out with us as well. You mentioned Fusion a little bit earlier. What up, Fusion? Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Keep winning these games, and maybe it'll work out for the Sixers. Most importantly, get the Super Bowl. We'll do that one.
We'll take that one.
We'll take that one for sure. Phi Chi, what up, Phi Chi? Rich P, saw Rich in there as well. Who else do we have here tonight? Aaron, what up, Aaron? DC Marley, Brian Knight, what up, B? Jess with the Purple Heart, as Kyle and Derek like to say, with the Purple Heart. What up, Jess? We also had hanging out with us tonight Joaquin from Cherry Hill, John Peace. What up, Peace? What's going on? Sir Shmooey. What up, Sir Shmooey? See you in there. Who else? I saw a few more that we were breezing through here.
Attila the Hungry?
Freddie Powell. What is that one?
Attila the Hungry.
I like it. I am always hungry when we get done these post-game shows, as we all are. We eat all the food. Scott sitting there in the chat with us as well.
You gave me a what on that one? The name stood out to me.
Tom Jackson. Who else do we have in here? Babor hanging out with us. Good to see Babor with us, talking about Andre Drummond, Jaden, Tom Jackson, Remo K, Charlie Henriksen, PHLY Guy. What up, PHLY? I saw my mom in there. What's up, Seth? We see you, Seth, hanging out with us as well. And so many others that we see. James and JS. All right. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot.
And who was the one that said that?
Roll has been called.
I wanted to, Key the King 01. Key the King. You know it's no beef. I was just letting you know that it wasn't me. I don't want them to tank. I was just saying what the people want. Ivan also up there as well. Everybody, we appreciate. Make sure you go like and subscribe as always. Please do. When you do, make sure when you hit that bell icon, it will sound like this to let you know that it's showtime. Showtime, baby. Bottom line. For Marc Stein joining us tonight, and Kyle Neubeck and Derek Bodner live from the arena. Rich, is always fun, man. We appreciate it. Production excellence, as always, from Bree with us here on the PHLY Sixers show. And we will be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock for the Kangs.
Get some sleep.
In town. Get some rest. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 7 o'clock to see if the Sixers can pick up win number 4 as part of this 6-game homestand. Everybody, have a good rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.